and welcome back to another episode of Fit Father Project Member Chats. My name is Kat, and I'm an accountability coach here at Fit Father Project, and I am thrilled today to have two members that are going to talk about a new sport and hobby that they were able to pick up because of where their fitness is with the Fit Father Project. And I'm not going to take any more time. Let's just jump right in. We have Brian and Rob here with us today. Brian, can you tell us a little bit of your story for those people listening?
Yeah, so I'm Brian Groves. I'm out of Stafford, Virginia, which is just south of Washington, D.C. I've been involved with Fit Father Project since September of 21. Gone through the program, and I'm actually going back through the program. You guys might have seen a bunch of my posts here and there, so it's a constant journey. So.
Awesome. And we have Rob here with us.
Yes, hi. My name is Rob. I'm 45 years young. Father of two beautiful daughters, 6 and 10 years old, and happily married. And I joined the Fit Father Project near Brian a bit later, so close to November of 21. So I'm coming up to my 2-year anniversary too. So my journey has been definitely intense. I arrived with 224 pounds, and I got to 158 in 7 months. And then I started, to gain more weight and more muscle. And I've been also doing first the FF30X, the weight loss program, and then I moved to the old school muscle, the OSM muscle building program, and then back. So circling between both programs. And it's been a lot bigger than just a physical transformation. It's been a mindset transformation, a life priority transformation, and a transformation for all our family to the better. Incredible.
Well, Brian, can you tell everyone what we're here to talk about today? What's your new hobby that you brought in?
Yeah, so what we're here talking about today is rucking. And rucking is simply walking, but you're not just walking. It's just not normal walking. It's walking with a weight on your back. It could also be a vest, so you could have weight on the front and back. Some guys like that. I personally prefer wearing a backpack with additional weight in it. So it becomes, for me personally, there's a lot less impact on my joints than running. I have a condition we might touch on that precludes me from running. So this fills that gap for me, gets me outside, and that's it's simply walking with a weight.
Okay, so if I'm new to rucking, I've never heard of this. You're telling me it's walking with a weight, and how do I do that? Rob, tell me, what's the equipment? How do I make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, you can do this in a very basic way, right? So you can get your kid's backpack and just throw a couple of bricks in, or, water bottles or anything, and just walk with any backpack right that way. So that would be the most basic form. Obviously, when you're going to do this in a regular way and you're going to be increasing the amount of weight you're carrying, you want to look for equipment which is specifically designed for it so that it's ergonomic, it protects your back, you are comfortable, it, also, ventilates for perspiration, etc., etc., etc. So when you talk about a specialized equipment, it will basically consist of a rucksack, i.e. a backpack designed for rucking, which has a pocket inside where you introduce a metallic weight plate, a cast iron or weight plate, and you will vary those weights depending on what's your level of training, let's say, and you simply put it inside, put it on, and then put in your favorite podcast or your favorite music, and just start walking with the weight. Then these specialized backpacks have got handles around it. So what you do is that you get your rucksack with the handles, and once you have walked, you can decide either only to ruck with it, so walk with the backpack, but then you can also do a workout. So you can stop, and with all these handles that they have on top, around it, etc., you can basically do a full body workout, meaning, biceps curl, triceps, shoulders, and then legs, right? You can do squats, you can do then weighted squats, weighted push-ups, and so on. So that's basically very simple. And then you can take your hydration, which can be obviously just a normal water bottle, but these specialized rucksacks are also ready for inserting a water bladder, camelback style, like you would have in any of those mountain bikes popular backpacks, that you have your holes to be drinking water in a more comfortable way than with a bottle without having to take your backpack off. And that's basically it.
Okay, awesome. So I'm new to rucking. I'm excited. I have a backpack to put weights in that I'm going to go on my walk. I have this weight or a weight vest. Where do I start? How much weight do I put into this backpack? Brian, can you start with that for us? Where is the starting?
Yeah. So I always recommend people start on the low end and slowly work their way up in their progression. 10, 15 pounds. If you haven't done a lot of walking, that's a great place to start. If you've been walking for a while, very active, maybe 20 pounds. One of the things I hear and I see a lot is the guys, I used to weigh. I lost 30 pounds. So this is amazing. I'm rucking with this 30 pounds. And that's justification for me, starting out at that 30 pounds sometimes. But I would venture to say, your joints have to adapt to this. I feel strongly like we need to be in the long game. It needs to be about longevity, being able to do what we do as long as possible. And then we reap the rewards, right? Compounding rewards from that. So I advocate always starting at the lower end, maybe 10, 15 pounds, maybe 20, depending on your how far you are in the process, how active you are, and then slowly progress up. I view there's levers wherever we talk about running and walking. I view these as levers that we can pull, and I see 3 levers for how we can progress and from where we start. And that could be distance and time, right? It could also be you can increase your pace, right? So I can with distance and time, I can say, okay, I got 45 minutes. I have 45 minutes to work out. So it might only take you, maybe 2 miles, it might take you 3 miles in that 45 minutes. But if you have an hour, all of a sudden you can increase that. That could be a lever that can increase your progression. Like where 15 pounds isn't doing it for you, now all of a sudden it's doing something for you again. You also have pace, so you can walk faster. And then there's also location, right? I can find a new location that has more hills and create a challenge that totally hit my quads completely different. So those are 3 levers we can hit when we're walking or running. But with rucking, we also have this 4th one that I advocate to push last, and that's the weight, right? So once my heart rate is dropped significantly to where, it's almost like a normal walking pace, and I've increased my distance, I've increased my pace, and I'm killing the hills, then I might start looking at increasing, to 30 pounds. I've been rucking for, I don't know. I was thinking about the other day, it was almost about 15 years. And I'm still doing 30 pounds. I can easily do 50, but I don't want to tax my joints out. And I see a lot of guys who come into our ruck club, increase the weight too fast, and then all of a sudden they drop out because their knees are bothering them, or their hip begins bothering them, their IT band starts tightening up on them from all the rucking they're doing. And then you begin losing these gains, right? You begin losing, you can go 15 pounds all year, every day, 365 days, or you can do 30 pounds and you find that you're only doing it half of that time. Which one's going to give you the bigger, return on that investment of time? So that's sort of how I view getting started and where to start and how to progress.
That's fantastic. Now, so you had mentioned we're going to start in that 10 to 15 pound range, and then we're going to, for distance, right? That might be the first area we change. Rob, what would you suggest how long someone should start when they're first getting going?
Yeah, so again, if you are not very used to exercise right now, the important thing is that you start 20 minutes. If you can do 20 minutes with your basic 10 pounds weight, then you're good. You try that a couple of days, Monday and Thursday, for example, to leave a couple of days always in between of rest. Don't do it, continuous days. And then joints feeling good, back feeling good, you're all good. Okay, continue. Then you work yourself like that per week until you can do 45 minutes in a comfortable way. Once you are doing 45 minutes in a comfortable way, now is the time to start pushing, but you're not pushing weight yet. So now what you're going to start pushing is pace. So what you want to go is to 17 minutes mile. So you're doing 45 minutes again, right? So you want to be doing 17 minutes mile pace. You're able to hold that during 45 minutes. Then you're good to increase weight. Again, I wouldn't say that you have to go to 20 because it depends on the person, depends on the size of your frame, right? It's not the same thing. If you're 5 foot that if you're 6'3", it's not the same if you're 240 pounds that if you are 150, right? So, but let's say moving from 10 to 15, that is a reasonable jump. And then you basically do the same process until you're comfortable in that 17 minutes mile. And then you can scale up to 20. But it will depend a lot on the people. I mean, I've been doing it quite a long time now. I mean, not 15 years, but I've been doing it a couple of years. And I arrive and I ruck with people who are rucking, 20 hours straight, right? With 60 or 70 pounds. And I do it regularly. I can't do that. So it's a matter also of what your body is used to, what your back, is used to, etc. But it's important to understand that it's not powerlifting, right? So we're not trying here to, load the rucksack with as much weight as possible. That's not the objective.
And that's a great point. And you both have said it. So I think it's really important to drive home that we are not just trying to put as much weight as you can on your back, right? There is a process, and that 10 to 15 pounds can be incredibly different if you're going for 20 minutes versus 45 minutes, or how fast your pace is, like Rob said, right? Are you at a 8-minute mile or at 11-minute mile? Like those are completely different, right?
Yeah.
All of those different areas you can pull, like Brian mentioned, still using the 10 to 15 pounds, but drastically changing the workout. And then that's super important.
And it's funny because I always say that you have to be careful with rucking because it bites you when you less expect it. And what I mean is that you put your ruck on with whatever weight it is, you start walking and you always see, this is easy. Your first 2 minutes, and you kind of forget about it, right? And suddenly minute 16 arrives, and suddenly minute 16, you're like, holy cow, man, this is starting to get very heavy. So that's why you need to progress yourself to 45, because the first 5 minutes always look easy. If you have 10, 20, 30, you always think it's
yeah. And if you're out and back, you got to walk back with that. So you go 2 miles route, it can
You're stranded.
Because your crap will start burning. When you're just starting out, your traps will burn. It takes a while to get there. I remember when I first upgraded to 30 pounds, my traps burned forever. I actually ended up going back down and would alternate between the two every other, once or twice a week, bringing the 30-pound weight until I got used to that. It's amazing how much pressure that can apply, but there's good things to it. I mean, just my back, I always slumped over a keyboard and everything kind of straightened out because of that pressure pull on your back. So there's advantages to it. But to Rob's point, when we look at walking versus rucking, this isn't complex. We talked about it. It can be the difference. Adding that 10, 15 pounds, if a regular walk burns 100 calories, you might burn 150 in that ruck, maybe 125, but compound that over several months. You got a lot. There's a lot of calories, extra calories you're burning doing something super simple. So there's really no reason to jump this progression and, cause injury or pain or discomfort. I mean, it's all about just taking advantage of this extra little benefit.
Yeah. And I think that what we promote in the Fit Father, I say we as a member of the Fit Father family, right? But Kat and Dr. A. But at the end, I think that what we promote in the Fit Father, both in the weight loss program or in the F30X or OSM in the muscle building program, is consistency, right? So we don't want to be the weekend warrior. I was a weekend warrior with mountain bike before I started this program. So I wouldn't do anything during the week. And then I would go Saturday, get my mountain bike. Eventually I bought an electric mountain bike. Doesn't matter, because then with the electric mountain bike, I was doing 40 or 50 miles. So I would arrive to my house, after having lost, 1,200 calories, totally, dehydrated. And then I would be, like in bed a day and a half, and then don't do any sport until next Saturday, another one, right? And huge back problems, huge hip issues, etc. We don't want to do that here, right? So the good thing with rucking is that it protects your joints because you're not jumping like when you're running. So because you're not having impact, your knees will not suffer, your ankles, your hips, etc. Right? So you don't want to, again, try to overdo it to actually achieve that. So what you're trying is to be in consistency. You can ruck 3 times a week. Is a perfectly safe model, right? Like I said, leaving 1 or 2 days in between the different rucks. Like Brian said, you can also switch weights, do one day heavy, one day light, or one day heavy, so go switching like that. And this allows you to build through the months. It's cardio, so you're definitely building cardio, but at the end, it's also muscle building because you're going to work the core very intensely. You're also going to work the traps and the shoulders. The good thing with Rucking is because the backpack is in the back, it will pull your shoulders backward, and therefore you will improve your posture even when you're not walking with a ruck, right? And then it will also strengthen your whole legs because obviously you're wearing more weight, so you're logically using your legs to move more weight. So it's a pretty complete full body workout, but low intensity, right? Like we said, we're not trying here to get our heart rate to 180 or to be, lifting 200 pounds on a squat. So that's not the idea.
What should we be looking for as far as form goes, right? Because you mentioned it's going to pull your shoulders back. So what are other kind of cues and when we're new or experienced that we should be thinking about for form?
Yeah, so you're going to, when you put back on, it's going to kind of pull you back a little bit. You're just going to lean forward just a little bit and then just start walking. And so, going up hills, kind of the same thing, going down hills, obviously you're going to make some adjustments there, but you're just letting gravity kind of do its work there. Some in terms of you're just going to walk. It's your hands are going to go back and forth. I'll tell you a fun little thing to try. The guys are amazing when they try this, right? When we walk and our hands are swinging front to back, which is natural for us, when we swing forward, our hips do different things. So our hips counterbalance. And so when we're swinging our arms, our opposite hips driving back and vice versa as we go back and forth. If you swing your arms left to right, what you have to really think about, when you start swinging your arms left to right, the interesting thing that happens is you can sync your arm swing to your pace, and you'll find that there's a connection with your legs all of a sudden. And I find that you can ruck faster. It's guys, I tell guys this, are like, no. They go try. They're like, Ryan, that worked. That's pretty wild. And but it's something you have to really focus on because your natural instinct is to go back front to back. Swinging your arms front to back. But it's kind of a fun little thing to practice, especially if guys try to increase pace. Like it's a super easy way to increase your pace. Because really what you're doing is when your hip drives back, you're losing a half inch with every step, 3/4 inch with every step. Now all of a sudden your hip's not rotating, so you're picking up a little bit of extra distance. Spread that over 3,000 steps or so. It adds you're doing it during the same amount of time. You're covering a little bit more distance, and you can actually get faster pace because your legs are going to follow your arms when you do that.
That's super interesting. So when we're first getting started, we really want to focus on the swing. We're going to have the opposite arm going forward as leg drive, keeping that tight core, shoulders pulled back. And then if we want to take it to another level and try something fun, you can move your arms side to side then, which my brain is struggling to even picture it. You're right.
It's weird, but it's fun to try. It's fun to try. But you're right. You do need to, I didn't mention that. You do need to activate your core because it is going to want to force a little bit more rotation in you. So I find if I step away from rucking for a period of time and I come back, my core is just obliterated after some rucks because it's just tightening your core, strengthening that core as well. So there's some advantages there.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think that one other detail which goes related to form and to equipment, at the beginning, it really doesn't matter. But once you start using a 20-pound plate or higher, the shoes are very important. So, and the reason for that is because as you increase your weight, right? So logically, your feet exercise a higher pressure, right, against the floor. So you want to go opposite way of the famous, very popular now, ultra trail shoes that people used to go to the supermarket, but I mean the famous Hokas, and then all the versions which have appeared, in any other brand, right, in Nike, whatever, which are these huge foams, really, really soft, hyper cushioned shoes. That's not what you want to use when you're going to ruck. You're actually looking for exactly the opposite. So you're looking for a medium to strong hold because you don't want to kind of your foot to wobble, and kind of every time you step, go left and right, depending if you're pronating or supinating. So buying, there are specific rocking shoes which you can buy, right? But any other shoe which is specifically for trail running with hard sole. So, those Merrell, Salomon, those specific trail running shoes are very good options for maintaining your form in heavier weights.
That's a great point, because right when we're thinking of what gear do we need, shoes is a big piece of it, right? Especially for longevity and being able to continue doing this. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Hey, it's Dr. Ray. I want to quickly pause this episode to thank you for listening to this Fit Father podcast. I am just blown away at how amazing this podcast has become. I had no idea when I started FFP around 10 years ago that it would grow into such an impactful mission. And I want to let you know that I am so grateful to be connected to you in this lifetime. And on behalf of me and my entire team, we are so grateful to be in your life, helping you get and stay healthier for your family. That's what I want to share. Just some gratitude from my heart to yours. Let's get back to today's episode.
We also will mention we have Chris, who has joined us too, who will be in the chat. So he may pop in with some advice for us here as we keep going. So we've talked through what equipment we need and where we should start as far as weights go, what form we're going to be looking at it, right? Or is different.
Can I just
Yes,
drop
please,
it?
Brian.
Just to his point on shoes, we should have brought this in here a second ago. Socks is also really important. That extra weight, your foot's gonna be sliding your shoe. We have a saying in our Ruck group that cotton's rotten, and so finding a really quality sock. I remember talking about this with Shane Dixon when he started rucking at the beginning of the year. He got some really bad blisters on his foot, but if you find a sock that is not cotton, there's some polyester strength lane socks that are out there that have an arch band, so it's going to help your sock stay in place. That is really critical. For a short walk, you can get away with cotton, right? A mile or so, you can get away with cotton. But if you start going a little bit further, 3-4 miles, it's worth investing in a good pair of socks. Boom Buzz, or there's several other brands out there. Right socks, they actually have 2 layers. So there's a sacrificial layer that holds tight to your skin, and helps eliminate some of that rubbing on your foot, because you can, just like running, no matter how tight you tie your shoes, you get some sliding in there, especially once your feet start sweating. So you get hot spots, the start of a blister, discomfort burning in your foot, and socks go a really long way. Underwear too, that's another area. We tell guys all the time, underwear, t-shirt, socks, most important things, but make sure they're not cotton. It just absorbs that moisture, and it just doesn't go away. It doesn't dissipate the moisture.
That's great. Here we go. You guys are going to get to go have fun adding to your holiday wish list, right? Of what you need so you can try out rucking on your own at home. Now, as far as how you mix this into your program, let's see, Chris, could you kind of touch on that? If you're doing the FF30X program, where did you mix rucking into your schedule?
So normally I add to that as a second workout every day. So I probably would do, let's just say, a MRT workout 2 days a week, and then I would do a strength training workout a couple days a week, and maybe some HIIT workouts a couple days a week. And then in the afternoon, I generally would, or evening, I would do a ruck. Usually 45 minutes to an hour, or possibly even on my off day as an active recovery day. So I would do a ruck on that day as well.
And I just wanna say something from a Fit Father family perspective, that for you who are more maybe new to the Fit Father family, the Facebook group is very important. It's where we all get to meet together. Even if you're not a Facebook guy, get inside the Facebook group, because you're not gonna regret it. It's just a bunch of people with the same objective, trying to help each other. And I discovered Rucking thanks to Chris, which is here in this call, which I had never heard of. And he got me into it, and I went quite crazy with it. He explained me what I had to buy, what I had to wear, how to start, join the Ruck Club, the full thing. So this is just an example of how we actually start with, the, let's say, Fit Father standard program. And then just with the community that is built, you just continue iterating, improving, and adding new capacities, skills, and challenges to your life, thanks to the community.
Yeah, that's great. You can keep getting advice here from the podcast. You can be looking on the YouTube, but for that really personal connection, joining the Fit Father Project so that you can be there in the brotherhood and talk with other members is vital, I think. You're right. How, Brian, did you integrate the rucking into your plan?
Yeah. So it was a lot like what Chris said. It was a secondary workout. When I first started FFP, Dr. A had a podcast talking about walking in the evenings and the insulin post dinner. So I integrated rucking every evening for usually about 2 miles, about 35 minutes, somewhere around there, most every night. I was trying to remember, I want to say it was like episode 96 or something like that. Dr. A talked about walking and breathing through your nose, and integrated that into this, and just saw some huge benefits from that. So that became like a mainstay for me, is eat dinner, 20, 30 minutes later, put the rucksack on, walk out the door, breathing through the nose and coming back. And it just added that extra benefit to all the FFP workouts. And even if I missed a workout, I still had that to fall back on. So I was still getting some activity in through the course of the day that way. In fact, every day right here, well, can't see it, but right over here, we go every day at 10:30. I take some of my staff out, and some are a little bit slower than me, so I got a 20-pound rucksack sitting behind me that we slap on, and we walk 1.25 miles every day. So that's another place, just trying to get intentional movement in through the course of the day, and rucking's a great way. I have to be careful because actually rucking can become everything for me. I love doing it. Prefer doing that over any workout. So I have to be careful because it just becomes the one thing I'll continuously do.
Where should we be focusing? So if someone was just getting started and maybe they're feeling sore, where would be like first places that they may feel it? And are any of those concerning where it may be like, hey, if you're feeling it in this spot, that might be because you need to adjust something. If that makes sense? Chris, could you kind of speak to that first for us here?
Yeah. And I'm not sure, I jumped in a little late, but I'm not sure if you touched on whether you're rucking with a backpack or rucking with a weighted vest, because there's both. Actually, I started with a weighted vest, actually, when I started with 20 pounds, and then transitioned to a backpack, a Go Ruck pack. And I will say that the first day after I rucked with the pack, my quads were absolutely killing me. And so complete different feel, complete different muscles that it works. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, obviously you start light, try a mile, try 1.5 miles and see what happens. You can vary your pace, but I think most guys will be surprised that they are sore, and you're not used to being sore from just walking. So
that's great. Rob, where do you think when you first started, or even now, like where do you feel it the most as far as muscle groups go?
Yeah, no. So in my case, I think that where I always have more challenges with the shoulders, I think that is what really gets me, right? So I have actually a big curvature in my spine since I was a kid. So, doing weightlifting, the same thing. I have my traps permanently super loaded without a ruck or without anything, right? So when I've been rucking for, X time, right, an hour or something, that's the first place that my shoulders start to complain, right? But, again, because we are not doing the world championship, at least just yet, the good thing is that you just stop in a park, you just leave the ruck, and you can then decide to do a workout, part without the ruck, some push-ups, some burpees, etc. And then, you continue. So, that's a great thing that you just adapt it to your own lifestyle and to your own possibilities and to your own, let's say, physical level. Then from the legs perspective, I don't normally notice it while I am rucking. So it's more post-rucking. But then post-rucking, I normally, in the place that I more notice it, is in the hips. I don't notice it in the knees because at the end you're not running, right? So the knees really don't feel anything. In the feet, in the feet when I've done like super long ones of 7 hours, yes, because you get blisters or whatever. But not from a muscular perspective. But yeah, I'd say that it's in the hips basically, and it's not pain really. It's just like the muscles that are like saying, "Hey, hello, you're using me," right? Because it's muscles that you normally don't use. So yeah. But like I said, shoulders really.
Yeah, I agree with them. The shoulders are a big one. Quads, calves. I felt my calves. So those are like usually those areas where I feel, the DOMS afterwards, right? The delayed onset muscle soreness. So those are those areas, but so those are normal. But if you're feeling, pain in your hips, that just lingers, like a real tightness or pain in your knee, right? Pain in your knee, it could be potentially you're pronating on your foot, exploring your shoes. Are your shoes wore out? Are you wearing the proper shoes? Those can, it's just sort of like running, right? It can lead to knee issues. Hips, if they're burning from your IT band or a lot of tightness, that might be a sign you need to step back the weight. Maybe you took it a little bit too far, pushing a little bit too hard. You either need to scale back just a little bit or drop the weight for a period of time, let your body adapt to that, and then push back forward.
That's great. Those are all wonderful things to think about as our members are trying out this new hobby and new sport that you get to use your body for now that you're leaning into this health and wellness phase of life. As we kind of wrap up here, I'm going to go around to give everyone a chance to kind of say some last words and bits of advice and encouragement to members who are listening and considering starting on their rucking journey. So I'll start with Brian. You want to kick this off?
Yeah. So, it's a great thing to do. There's a huge benefit to it. You just be smart about it. Safety is a big thing. You're making sure you're wearing. I live in a community where we don't have sidewalks, so I have to walk in the street. I actually prefer to do my rucking in the evening time because headlights tell me something's coming before I see it. But making sure you have high visibility. I'm not a big fan of vests because those straps, sometimes they have a seam on the top, and those straps can really bother you. But there are like PT belts that they wear in the military, are a great thing to have for safety. Also, there's some straps you can wrap around your bag. I know a couple of guys will wrap a PT belt around their backpack for high visibility, and those are very effective. But one of the big ones that I see when I walk around my neighborhood is people don't know which side of the street to walk on. I think that's a big one. You should be walking into traffic. You shouldn't be walking where traffic's coming behind you because you want to be able to react. I can tell you in the years I've been doing this, I've had to jump out of the way of some cars that somebody's on their phone, and I'm able to see them, that they're not paying attention. They don't see me. You got to step real quick. If they're coming from behind you, you can't see that. So knowing what side to walk on is really important. And the last thing I'd say is there are rucking communities out there. Misery loves company, and they're great. These are some amazing people to meet if you have a group near you. Just some great time. I've had some excellent conversations walking around with people. Usually they'll do a social ruck. So they'll go out and walk 3 miles and sometimes get dinner afterwards. And, some of these are veterans and they've been through a lot, and this is their therapy. So there's a great community out there. You just have to type in your area and just type rucking group, and you might be surprised that there's one near you. So it's kind of some part words here.
Thank you, Brian, for bringing that up. Safety is so important. We talked about form, but there's also the piece of safety of you are outside, and most of us who are in a suburban area are going to be walking with cars unless you've moved out to wilderness. So the bright colors that you can wear so that cars can see you, like you had mentioned, something that lights up and is reflective so they can see you as well, and walking towards traffic so that you can know where to go. Thank you. That is so important. If you take anything home from this podcast, I hope that that's one of it. Even for running too, walking.
Yeah, running and walking. Yeah.
Any piece of outdoor activity, especially in the evenings. This is great. Let's keep it going. Chris, hop on in.
All right. Well, I would just say if anybody's hesitant about it, just jump in and do it. You don't have to start with a, $400 Go Ruck back. You can get a backpack and throw some weight in there. And if you like it, and invest in some good equipment, I would suggest that, because obviously, like anything else in any sport, better equipment makes the experience a little more comfortable and easier. Brian touched on the safety aspect, and that's very, very important. I do ruck around my neighborhood a little bit, but I also have a trail that we have locally that's an old railroad track that's rails to trails, and so that's a good spot if you can find that, or a park. You don't have to worry about traffic so much, and so I prefer that. And honestly, I do ruck for the health benefits, but I also ruck for the mental benefits. And so I like to put my ear pods in and turn on a podcast, or sometimes I'll even turn on music or something, but most of the time a podcast, and just get out of my own head and kind of, that's my 45 minutes or an hour to kind of recharge and relax a little bit. And it kind of sounds counterintuitive to relax while you're packing around a 25-pound backpack, but it is a lot of mental, get a lot of mental clarity, I guess, while you're walking. And I've answered a lot of my own questions while I've been out on the trail.
I love that. It's doing something difficult too, right? Like you're
right.
So focused on doing something difficult that you can almost disconnect from other difficult items that may be going on in your life. Focus on something new. It's a great.
Yeah.
Right, Rob? Send us out here with some wishes for these members.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is that Rucking is really something that you first, when you start, you're like, okay, let me just do this thing and see what happens. But it actually can become an integral part of your program and actually of your life. For me, when I started the program, one of the biggest challenges I was battling with was not, like the workouts or the food, which also yes, but my biggest challenge was my total insecurity in my physical capabilities, right? So throughout my life, I was used to start on a sport, and because I guess I have, permanent obsessive compulsive disorder over everything I do, I would go full in to whatever it was. But what happened, that as soon as I started to progress a bit with the technical skills, my physical capacity wouldn't accompany me, right? So I was playing tennis, I wouldn't run fast enough to get the ball, right? I was playing football, etc., right? The good thing with rucking is because you modify the weight in the ruck and the distance, and that you can actually have people of different levels rucking together. No issue with that. The second thing is that it allows you to have injuries and be able to do sport. Then the third thing is bang for the buck, right? If you go only to walk, that's perfectly good and it's already, super healthy. The point is that if you actually put the Ruck on, you can be doubling, tripling the calorie consumption, obviously depending on how much weight you're doing, pace and so on, but you can really make it intense. And then I think that the fourth, which is another advantage, is, and now I'm going to go a bit to the woo-woo side, which is also interesting, right? But is combining, your neighborhood-urban route to actually force yourself, in my case, which I was zero like the countryside guy, right? I wasn't the camping guy, I wasn't the outdoor guy, I was the urban, movie theater, supermarket, etc., home and so on, restaurant, and actually do a Ruck in the forest, in nature, etc. Once per week, just get a Saturday, get a Sunday, and just have a walk with either, the Ruck Club or you alone, totally fine, right? And connect with nature. I think that is something that it kind of inclined me to start getting into that. And then I started doing hiking. And now I'm also doing, canoeing in the lake. And I'm doing a lot of other things. But what actually dragged me to the forest, to the mountains out of town, was Rucking to start. So I think that that's also something pretty positive to leverage.
Yeah, that's great. It almost gives you confidence, right? To be out there and try something new, which is awesome. What a great jump off point. Well, thank you so much to the three of you for joining me today. If you are listening and you have any more questions about Rucking, please send them on in to us. We'll make sure they get to these three, or ask them in the Brotherhood if you're one of our members. And I know that there is even more of that. We have these three wonderful men, but we also have even more members who have now joined the Rucking group, and you can hop into that fun new hobby and try something new. Look out for more content on the Fit Father YouTube page. Listen to the rest of the podcast for amazing tips and motivation, and we'll see you in the Brotherhood.